Unwritten languages, the Zuni Indians. Language is the most predominant aspect of a culture, and ancient unwritten languages in the world are threatened today by the rise of universal languages, such as English, French, and Spanish. English is usually considered the world's most widely used universal language today, used as an international form of communication that is understood by most people on at least a rudimentary level. French and Spanish are close behind English in terms of being universal languages, and Mandarin has the world's largest primary base of speakers. However, it is not considered an international language because it is not used as commonly in business. By the end of this year, nearly 90% of languages are expected to become extinct, and many of them will do so without ever having a written form. North America is home to the largest base of English speakers in the world, and it is also home to a wide number of unwritten native languages, many of which are threatened with extinction. Zuni is an example of an unwritten language that has been recently adapted to fit into an English-speaking society. Unlike most Native American languages, Zuni is isolated and is not classified into any other language tree. Historians believe that Zuni has survived for up to 7,000 years. The tribe itself believes that the native language is the only way they can communicate with their ancestors through prayer. Today, at least 7,000 people speak Zuni in the Zuni Reservation south of Gallup, New Mexico, and in several other areas owned by the tribe in New Mexico and in Arizona. All of these also speak English and Spanish, and there are no monolinguals. The language has no known native written form, and is historically documented as being an unwritten language. In 1965, linguist Stanley Newman finished an orthography of the spoken sounds of the Zuni language, adapting the language to the conventional Latin alphabet used in the U.S. In 2005, linguist Curtis Cook created a standard Zuni written form, and he also compiled 300 tape recordings that serve as an oral history of the tribe. Today, the Zuni alphabet consists of 18 Latin letters and is taught in elementary curriculum alongside the sound recordings. The current Zuni English dictionary has 864 words. The 2005 Curtis Cook collection of the adaptation of the language from oral to written form was heralded as the salvation of the Zuni language, and the Library of Congress has permanently stored the work. Prior to 2005, newer generations of Zuni were less likely to learn the language from their parents, opting instead for English or Spanish. And the language itself was threatened with extinction, as many languages throughout the world still are. Cultural isolation was a key factor for the language surviving so long, and for it remaining unwritten. The religious importance of communicating with one's ancestors in the native tongue was also key. Zuni is solely used in some homes, traditional council meetings, all religious ceremonies, and some religious services. Adults are the primary speakers of Zuni, but children tend to use English instead. 7,010 out of a recorded 9,650 in total are Zuni speakers. The tribe runs its own schools and has been able to implement Zuni curriculum during primary school only. Practice also comes through radio, films, and Bible readings done in Zuni. In order for a language to remain vital, it must 1. Be used orally within the home and community, 2. Be fully transmitted to all the children, 3. Be perceived as beneficial to the speakers, 4. Be supported by government policies, and 5. Be connected with shared traditions and customs on when to use the native language versus the universal languages, such as English or Spanish. Because the Zuni are predominantly poor, the main threat to their language and culture continues to be brain drain, which draws younger generations away to find work in larger cities. SIL International gives Zuni an EGIDS level of 6B, which indicates that the language is threatened of extinction. This indicates that intergenerational transmission is in the process of being broken, but the childbearing generation can still use the language, so it is possible that revitalization efforts still could restore transmission of the language in the home. Currently, parents are not teaching their children to use Zuni in the home, but the parents are still fully capable of speaking Zuni on their own. So it's possible that if programs were implemented to encourage the teaching and practice of Zuni in the home, it could prevent the language from becoming extinct. The written form, as created by Curtis Cook, could be one such revitalization effort, although it has not yet been fully accepted.